So Dr. Morse have suffered from long-term sinus problems. Yucky, hate them. 10 years or better, with no real help from doctors apart from being put on steroids. Well, then another thing, you can get polyps and they go in and remove the polyps and textbook symptoms. I mean, this is just mucus, simple mucus impacted in the sinuses. So, what do you do with simple mucus? You detoxify it out. You've used, tried the neti pots, but you want to use something. Chew on horseradish root. The problem is with mucus is that the longer you're acidic, the more dehydrated that fluid gets, the more anionic, as they want to say, in that. So you get more of a dehydrated, thicker fluid, hard to move out. Then you form polyps and things like this, as you would on the bowels or anywhere else where that same thing exists. That same thing in the sinuses actually can exist head to toe, impactions. Then after a while it's seen as a mass, and then of course then a tumor or whatever, blah, 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 blah. Same kind of stuff. It's all mucus. It's all from the lymph system though, and it's all protective to the body against acids. But in a sense becomes acidic when the adrenals and the kidneys lose its ability to filter. This is the big problem that humans face. It ain't no little thing. This is the big thing. And it's funny how a lot of people miss this whole thing with that. So you could do a chew on horseradish root, 3-lung tea, all that helps to break up hardened mucus, pleurisy root, mullein, fenugreek, all of this does hot and cold applications to neck and back. Fix up your GI tract. This is a case where if you don't fix up your GI tract, you're probably going to have a hard time breaking loose. So you've got to clean this gut up. Use stomach and bowel, whatever number. I would use lymphatic capsules, lymphatic 1 capsules. I would use three times a day. I'd definitely get on that GI broom. Start opening up the bottom of the tree so the top of the tree can drain. Your blockage is all the way up here and in the kidneys. So your blockages is all down below. Clean down below so the top can drain, and you'll be successful and open all that up. Okay, man? The question really is about chronic sinusitis, even though they call it rhinosinusitis or whatever. You know, it's just what they call inflammation in the sinus cavities and in the sinus areas here. And I have to laugh at that because, you know, my God, in today's world, people have to know what congestion comes from, the dairy products and stuff like this, and just the acidosis causing the inflammation. Get on this GI tract, because remember, this whole sinus and head sits on top of this gut. So all this lymph all comes down and filters through. So you want to clean up everything. You got to get your kidneys and adrenals online to get your lymph to drain. You got to get your bowels cleaned up to get the sinuses. So the kidneys and bowels also control sinus drainage, guys. And you notice when you're constipated or backed up, or your urine is backed up, you start to feel stopped up. And that's just all tied together. That's why you can't just do one little thing here, one little thing there. Go after it. Jump in the ocean. Go for it. And tear it apart. And you'll start getting a rhythm going of detox. Your sinuses will drain. Or find someone that's got a good cold and flu-like symptom and go hug them. Give them a kiss. Who cares? I mean, whatever. Try to get your body to go into a cold and flu. These people have no idea how lucky they are to have cold and flu-like symptoms. Who doesn't get it is the medical community. And who helps to terminate people with them is the medical community using antibiotics, calling it a bacterial. Oh, we have the worst viral or bacterial epidemic of all times. Now think about, we have the worst culturing mediums in people of all times. People are in trouble. I mean, when you have bacteria, flesh-eating bacteria, your body is real weak. And yet the girl looked good from the outside, didn't she? My mom. Sarah's mom is healthy and vibrant, but she has dealt with depression. Remember the parathyroid and sinus issues. Of course, sinus, parathyroid, all close together, full of mucus. Parathyroid's probably full of mucus like the sinuses. The thyroid the same way. Remember, your whole body gets full of mucus. Although the sinus problem is ongoing, she just needs to clean up her bowels, get her kidneys to filter, and all this will drain out of there. So recently she was told by her eye doctor that she's at risk for glaucoma. Well, then her pressure's building up, meaning her lymph's building up, but then what you're saying is all lymphatic right there anyway, and she needs to get her lymphs moving and get herself all cleaned out, and she'll be good. Get her bowels cleaned out. We had a little, I guess he was about 8 years old, 9 years old. And he had severe sinus problems, and he hasn't been able to breathe through his nose in about 5 years. The second dosage of lymphatic 1, he says, Mommy, Mommy, I can breathe through my nose again. Now, how cool is that? Massive polyp removed from my sinuses. This is a good one. Massive polyp up in the sinuses. Where could that come from? Boy, I'm lucky I didn't have them. I tell you, I was raised on milk and used nose drops to breathe. I didn't know. Nobody told us. And the suffering that people have to go through. So, fix your bowels on this one too, dear. Who is this? This is Pamela. Oh, fix your bowels, my dear, because this is this whole thing. Kidneys, adrenals, GI tract, all this lines right up here. And get that cleaned up. Get your start opening your doors. You know, clean this bowel, clean your kidneys, get all these doors open to drain your sinuses. Let me see. Yeah, they grow in there. She also had a deviated septum, means that your septum's deviated. A lot of times you drain at the back of the throat, so you're getting a lot of sore throats, a lot of mucus back there. And so if you get your deviated septum, you can breathe through your nose properly. She had one. She had it fixed. Someone was talking about, was that you? Who was that? Was talking about the sinuses and all that. Chew on horseradish root. That's a good one. You know, neti pot, use heel oil tea, use the 3-lung tea because it's much more mucus loosening, if I could. It's for coagulated mucus. It breaks up hardened mucus, particularly fenugreek. Mullein pleurisy root's good for that. So I would be neti potting 3-lung tea as opposed to heel oil tea. And then, of course, you could always chew on horseradish root and all this other stuff. Now, here's another one from Monica. And this is a few months ago I had the so-called silent sinus syndrome. The center ridge of my nose was crooked, and that's why the way to my sinus was very narrow. Deviated septum, generally speaking. Deviated septums, a lot of people have them, so they re-break the nose and open the channel. But with deviated septums, typically you dump to the back of the throat, which causes a lot of people a lot of sore throats because it's mucus. And of course, mucus is involved in all types of pain and swelling, right? Including sore throats, bronchitis, pneumonias, right? And mucus is part of what system? That's right, the lymphatic system. It is actually there to protect you. The dairy products are the most congestive to the upper respiratory, sinus, throat, and so probably heavy milk drinkers back in these farm days, genetic days way back, where they fill their bodies full of mucus, and that suppresses the function of these tissues. And in time, of course, being acidic can break them down. And so, as you see, it took a lot of decades to do this, but it has done this to the point where we are beyond serious. If I had to link where we are, we're at the chronic levels mostly, and tremendous amount of degenerative levels. When I am sick, I often first develop sinus pressure, absolutely, and congestion. And if you're not careful, sweetheart, you'll get that head pressure and then the glaucomic eye pressures, and nothing ever good comes with that. You want to scream and cut your head off because pressure that you can't just pull a valve and it releases. That's why you got to get pressure comes from everything blocked down below. So when you have a pressure, you can try air candling, you can try neti potting, you can, anything you can get, nebulizing with heel oil or 3-lung tea, you can do all kinds of things to try to open and clean. So